Guess who's back? It's time to roast some more LOLMAPS. And what better place to start with a true LOLMAP? Now, the best way I would really describe most LOLMAPs is just launching yourself off in whatever direction and just kind of hoping for the best. And this is definitely one of those where you've got to drop yourself down through I don't even know how many holes, and the finish lines are at the bottom. I mean, it's kind of a cool concept to try and line up your air brakes in a way that you can just fall straight down without bouncing off one of the sides. But if you manage to fall perfectly down every hole, you're just gonna bounce off the finish line. So it's like, what is a perfect run even supposed to look like here? Looks like this guy's already gone crazy. I don't know what he's up to. Now, luckily, I do have an almost perfect run on this map, so we can kind of see what it's supposed to look like. But even just watching my replay, I'm kind of shocked that the physics can even work like this. So at least I got lucky. Next up, we have a map from an alphabet series. Now, I'm pretty sure there's a few different mappers who've made these alphabet maps where they just shape the track like a letter. And let's be honest, some letters are better than others, but this letter H here, it doesn't really work very well, because if you're trying to go out all the way to every single end, like, you've got to perfectly turn back around to go to the next one. Figuring out a good route is just kind of annoying. I hate having to make perfect U-turns or just having to reset, but overall it is pretty simple. I do like that 10-to-0 dislike ratio though. Hey, no, don't be giving this map any thumbs up. All right, that's better. Okay, let's look at a map called City. Now, I've seen quite a few maps that look like this, where it's basically just a wild layout of finish lines and track pieces. It's just completely scattered everywhere, and most of the issue here is just figuring out the best route to take. Now, if you're playing this map alone, it's going to be a big pain, because you're going to have nothing to go off of. You're just going to be driving around aimlessly, looking for the closest finish line with the best route to get there. But if you're playing with a lot of other people, usually there's somebody there who knows the fastest way to go, and so then it just turns into everyone going the same route. But even the fastest route on this one is a little bit awkward. But if you're ever thinking about making a map like this where there's just so many different possibilities, like, just know that once everyone figures out the best way to do it, the rest of the map just becomes completely invalidated. Okay, here we have Extreme LOL 1, back when Ogre's name was actually Ogre. Now, this is really the quality that we come to expect from LOLMAPs. Just a long stretch of boosters, but not just boosters. They go forward and backwards boosters. And then the finish line is just way out on the other side of the map for no apparent reason. Now, you can just drive straight down the forward and backwards boosters, and that'll get you through, but if you want to go any faster, you're gonna have to be like some precision god, driving on the green border on the side, only popping onto the boosters when it's pointing forwards. So I don't know, Schmanuel will probably take the world record when it comes up next. And it wouldn't be a terrible LOLMAPS video without some Citrax, with Fix Fun number 12. Now, this is the kind of map that you feel like you're going kind of crazy, because you're like, wait, am I not getting this? I can't figure out what's the right way to go. But that's the thing, there really is no right way to do this. You can try and do this wall ride, which is literally impossible because you don't have enough speed to clear that gap. You can try and do an overwall, which going at it from this angle is actually impossible too. Or you can just try and squeeze past this edge and try not falling off. And then after that, you get to do another overwall. Sometimes I feel like when Citrax is designing a map, he designs like a normal map and then just removes some pieces, making it almost impossible, and then just hits publish. But alright, here's another Citrax map. Now, you know, having a straight line of boosters right into a loop and then another straight line to the finish looks like a pretty bad map. But Citrax can look at that and say, you know, I can make it even worse, because let's put a layer of water and dirt on the other side of this. And if you know anything about TM2 water physics, well, to be honest, nobody really knows how these physics work, but it's almost like you just go into slow motion. You just drive super slow, and even if you get like a little bit of airtime, you're just like very slowly creeping around. So you're just looking for any amount of grip on the ground to try and drive through to the finish, but it's just gonna be so slow. And since you don't really have a whole lot of checkpoint feedback, it's hard to tell if you're anywhere even close to getting a good time until you hit the finish line. So you just have to drive really slowly for about 10 seconds and then just hope that it came out okay. And now here we have one called Fun Loops. I love how some of these maps are so old they don't even have MX pages, but in this one, it looks like there is a proper way of doing it. It looks really difficult. You've got to be able to maintain a lot of precision through all of these loops to make it all the way to the finish line. But overall, it's kind of pointless because it's way faster to just turn around at the start and just try and overwall from the grass. But because grass gives you like no grip, it's just kind of a pain to get the overwall right. And so I don't even think I'm gonna get a finish right now. Yes, they are getting worse. That is the downside about being online while I'm trying to record these videos. You get about 20 of these maps in a row. Now let's look at Just One Turn. Man, I had no idea that there were so many downvotes on all these maps, but it makes a lot of sense. So alright, we've got a map with 0 checkpoints, and you just drive around this spiral, and there's a finish line towards the end. But you start to realize that because there's no checkpoints, you can kind of just find a spot to slip through the cracks and just find the finish line from there. However, no matter how much speed you gain, even if you do it the proper way of going all the way around as fast as you can, you will not have enough speed to clear this final gap. And so most people actually don't even finish this map because it's really hard. Because what you have to do is take as much speed as you can get and throw yourself at this wall and try and bounce off the pole and use that to launch yourself into the finish. So again, you just kind of ignore most of the map. You skip past most of the turns, just take a shortcut, go straight for the finish, and then still have to do a wild stunt to clear it. But that's how it looks when you get lucky. All right, here we have Lil Tricky number 28. Man, I feel like some of these maps were made bad on purpose just to troll people. The whole map is just a booster into a ramp, but you're not supposed to go over the ramp. The finish line is just underneath the track. So, okay, I guess just drive straight into the wall, slowly creep down to the lower platform and go through the finish line. It's just so funny seeing like top level players on the top of leaderboards on maps like this. Man, there is no map that is too bad for some people to hunt. I love the reactions of people whenever some of these maps load up. This one's called LOL Fun 4 Jack. So, okay, let's see where we gotta go. We take a long string of boosters, we launch ourselves somewhere. The finish line is... I think we've got to turn around and go towards the finish line. You know, by looking at this map, you would think that you're supposed to land on top of all these blocks and then turn around and then take the jump down. But that's not even possible. You can't jump high enough to get up there, and you're not even going the right direction. And there's no way to drop down on top of it. So literally the only way to finish this is to just go around, drive on the grass, and then clip through the border, which might work or it might not. So it really just comes up to chance. Again, I can't tell if this guy was just trolling when he made this map or if he just forgot to finish it before hitting publish, but it's on a public server and it's been played by thousands of people by now, so it's very critically acclaimed, we'll put it that way. Alright, here's a map that doesn't look too crazy. There's just a ramp going off into nowhere. But there's one checkpoint, and the finish line is just right here. So I guess just jump over the finish line, touch the checkpoint, and then turn right back around and go into the finish line. So what is the point of all these other track pieces going off into the distance? Again, is it just to troll people? To make people drive all the way up to the top and realize there's nothing there? Also, who are the 4 people that upvoted this? I think we need to do some bans on this server. Here's a map called Overrated, and it's one of those maps that every time it comes up, I'm just like, I don't want to play this. So kind of similar to that city map, there's just a lot of roads going in all different directions. You don't know which one is taking you the way you need to go, but you follow this checkpoint and you drive around these long stretches with no checkpoints. And then there's a long stretch of boosters right into a 180-degree turn where you gotta snake around these turns and then go into the finish line. It definitely feels like the kind of map where you feel like you're supposed to find a cut somewhere, and there probably is one, but at the same time, I don't care enough to look for it. I think I'd rather just type /skip. I like how this guy just keeps calling every map the worst. You can tell there's some real trauma on this server. Ooh, we're not done with Citrax yet, and he's brought the water back for a map called Squatter. Now, normally I used to play this map on like cam 1 or 2, but it's so much better to play this on cam 3 so you can actually see where you're going. It takes a lot more trial and error trying to play this on cam 1. But when this starts, you do this weird like floaty thing, so you don't even get to move for the first couple seconds. And then you just kind of drive in very slow motion all the way through. If you touch anything and your wheels come off the ground, you lose like all traction and all speed. Alright, we've taken a look at some downhill maps before, but have you ever seen an uphill map? It's just like a downhill map, but way slower. So like, I don't get what this setup is supposed to be. I mean, you drive off this gap and hope the bounce doesn't go horribly, and then because of this stupid airtime hill, you're not allowed to go too fast at the beginning, so you can't even take a lot of speed to give you a head start going up this hill. And then you just get to slowly drive up this hill, one ramp at a time, again with 0 checkpoints, so you don't really know how the pace is going until you're done. Alright, we're almost through these. We got a banger here called Very Hard 32. Which I think this whole map is made up of about 4 pieces. I wouldn't say that it's super hard to finish, but getting a clean, good time is. Now you got 2 options here. You can drive into a wall every 3 seconds trying to get a lucky overwall, or you can drive through this little gap and just try not falling off the map. Really, there's not a whole lot to this one, let's be honest. This is the kind of map that comes up when you finally convince your friend to come play TrackMania with you, And they're like, all right, let's see what this game is all about. And then this thing boots up and you're like, they're not all like this one, I swear. But I think I've put these guys through enough pain by now. So that's gonna do it for Terrible LOLMAPS Volume 2. I still have hundreds of maps to look at. Assuming that you guys still enjoy these ones, this is probably gonna be the easiest content for me to make for a while. And for those wondering why I've been so inactive, well, I moved to Florida a couple months ago, and so now I just go to Disney World every single day. So I just don't have time to make videos anymore. And I know that sounds like I'm making a joke, but no, that kind of is all I'm doing.